Hello everyone, welcome to Eternal Brews. There were some technical difficulties with today's video, so I'm going to have to record a couple of pieces of it. We used a new deck to get up to Master. This is the Justice League deck that I have talked about a little bit before in terms of competitive viability and sort of like being a pretty good like offensive deck. I wanted to make some modifications to it to make it a little bit better and a little more consistent, and we added a couple of things to just sort of improve the game's early game as well as its mid-game. And what we're primarily doing here is we're playing around with Vodakhan's Staff, which is a 3/3 weapon that when you have 8 or more maximum power, you get to draw it from the void. This gives you a lot of like sort of late game proficiency. It's also a pretty efficient weapon all by itself. A 3/3 for 3 is actually really good stats for a weapon. So we put this on an Aegis unit like Crownwatch Paladin, which is another new addition, or a flyer, and we just basically bang in for a bunch of damage and basically just do a lot more. We're doing this instead of district infantries because I was seeing a lot of Feln on the ladder, and I didn't really like basically trying to rely on district infantries and powers to not get like Vara's favored away. That's a lot of swinginess in terms of advantage. I decided to go for something a little bit more consistent and a little bit better against all of the death strikes and slays and just, you know, the fun stuff that's happening in the Tavrod meta right now. So as a result, we came up with this list, and I really liked this list. We had a very good run with it up to Master. I lost to like 2 Felnish decks, one against another one, and then we just had like 9 or 10 games that were just awesome. So I have at least one of those recorded. We'll throw that into the match back, but I'm going to record a few more games for you so that we can show off the deck and basically just show how it plays. So cheers to that, and I will see you in games. See you in just a moment. Alright, so we're up on Nebula, and looking at not really a lot. I'm going to redraw here, see if I can pick something else up. Emerald Monument, Time Sigil, Crownwatch Paladin seems pretty reasonable. We'll go ahead and play the Emerald Monument first so that we can get Crownwatch Paladin down, and if I can get the Vodakhan Staff on that, that's usually a good way to start the day. If I can't get the Vodakhan Staff down on that, well, too bad. Vodakhan's Staff does still make me vulnerable to like Finest Hour, so if he has like a 1-drop plus a Finest Hour, that's kind of an iffy thing. Looks like he's kind of an armory space deck though. Okay. So with armory based decks, more units is generally better.
Rule number 1,
we don't want to make anything huge unless it's over 4 health, because that is the level where we can actually like get things going, but I will have Stand Together to make this happen, so that should be really good. If I can just stack a couple of units up though and play the Stand Together, that's probably my best shot. Okay. He's going for the flyer. That makes sense to me, like he certainly just wants to kill it. And we'll go ahead and attack for 2, get our War Cries, and get our Crownwatch Paladin with a War Cry. That's the card I want to put Vodakhan's Staff down on, so we'll hope he doesn't find an Auric Runehammer before then. Looks like he doesn't have the power for it just yet, so he's playing his power out. I get 5 damage in the meantime, so we're doing some good pressure.
I've got my eye on.
Copperhall Bailiff, not a lot of fun. Okay, so from here I can Vodakhan Staff one of these guys, but that puts me in a more vulnerable situation than I'd really like. I can also attack for 3, get the Bailiff's just sort of like response, and play Spire Chaplain. I kind of like that route. I'm gonna get the War Cry. Gonna play Spire Chaplain so we have a better like just general set of plays. If he has the Harsh Rule here, that's fine. We still have some stuff left to play. Looks like he doesn't have the Harsh Rule.
I've got my eye on.
Okay, and that's, you know, tricky but not out of the question. From here, I think I definitely just... Ooh, man, I really want those War Cries. So I kind of want to attack with both things, but I think I'll just attack for 2. Get my green. And then we'll have to decide if we want to play a Valkyrie Enforcer or Stand Together. I like Stand Together here. It buffs my units back up. We get the Copperhall Bailiff out of there. The Crownwatch Paladin is now a big enough unit to actually put a Vodakhan Staff on. And like everything looks a lot better from there. I can Gilded Glaive if I need to make the Spire Chaplain better. And then I can just Vodakhan Staff the Crownwatch Paladin. I have a pretty good setup against most of the possible board options. And seeing like that right there is not actually that big a deal for me. So we play a Justice Sigil. I am gonna... Oh, I should have put the Gilded Glaive down first. I was thinking I was going to put the Vodakhan Staff on it, but the Gilded Glaive makes more sense since I don't want the Vodakhan Staff to be silenced. That's okay. We'll attack for 6. get our green. If he's got a silence, he's going to have to play it into the Spire Chaplain, so that's not great for him. And I can play Gilded Glaive on the Crownwatch Paladin to get a bigger Crownwatch Paladin, which makes a lot of sense. Or I can play Knight-Chancellor Siraf, which is a 5/6 right now. Both of them are really solid options. We've got very, very good tempo against the deck. The more stuff we are playing, the harder it is going to be for him to get like the right relic weapons for these answers. His Inspire went to a Valkyrie Enforcer. He's not had any other war cries. Sword of Valkyrie is the only one there. Okay, and it looks like he's going for either something very big or something very kooky. I think it might be a torch here. This looks like a torch play. So I'm going to attack for 10. And I'm going to decide if I want to play Siraf or the Valkyrie Enforcer. He's got Harsh Rule or Slay. The question is which. I think my best play is Valkyrie Enforcer. Since there's likely a Harsh Rule here, but if it's a Slay, I want to have something in the air, and I don't want to like be playing Siraf into anything without stand together up. So we will probably see an attack into a Harsh Rule, or maybe he'll rise the challenge for like a small weapon. That's interesting. So he didn't have the Harsh Rule, or if he did, he was really unwilling to play it. And Knight-Chancellor Siraf is going to be a really good way to push that remaining damage if I can get it. Rise to the Challenge could pick him up a Talon of Nostrix. If he has that, he can kill my Valkyrie Enforcer. Otherwise, I think he's pretty dead. Like, Peacekeeper's probably stuns that. And then I've got 6 and 8. And that's a pretty good pickup against the Armory deck. Good stuff. Alright, cool. So we're back up to where we were. I'm going to keep grinding out those games and see if we can get things. Oh, and it's late enough that I actually got my first win of the day bonus. Good stuff. Alright, we're up against Vodakhan. We have Seed of Progress, Justice Sigil, and I have a Tinker, Overseer, and a Spire Chaplain in my hand. So we have a pretty easy 2 to 3 that also leads into more power for later. So I'm pretty happy to keep this hand. There's not a lot of tricks in it. It's just going to play units every turn for about 4 turns, but that's a pretty good plan. I actually get to play all of the cards in my hand, so feels pretty good about that. Now, as to what my opponent is up to, well, we're going to see in just a moment based on what his colors are. It's possible that he just passed turn to me. Or no, he was deciding on his setup. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's go ahead and go with the Awakened Student. It's a pretty good card early, and we'll be able to power it up and play Spire Chaplain next turn. I could go Tinker Overseer and then play the Awakened Student down, but I think I like this better. We do see a Lightning Storm immediately, which is 1-1, but means that our Tinker Overseer is much less vulnerable, and we're not going to get knocked out on, like some of our Aegises aren't going to get knocked out. We're not going to have as many problems with Withering Witch later on. A Permafrost there, and a Vara's Favor.
Touch of shadow.
So lots of early removal from the Felm deck, but we have plenty of threats to play, so I'll go ahead and play another one here. And if I can get that Justice, then I can play 2 threats at a time next turn, which is going to be really, really helpful for me. He might Death Strike, or he might Steward of the Past. No one really likes Steward of the Past. Gilded Glaive here would allow me to kill that, which is probably a reasonable trade for the extra power to play the Tinker Overseer as well. Yeah, there's my Justice Sigil. We do get a 2-for-1, which sucks a little bit, but I get to actually generate some pressure, so I feel pretty comfy with that. And he actually chose not to block it for reasons I'm not 100% sure of. I guess he just didn't want to lose the Steward, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but perhaps he was worried that I was going to play something with like Recursion, like a Dawnwalker, and wanted to keep that unit online. Okay, so there's a Death Strike. That's totally fine. We're also okay with that. And Valkyrie Enforcer is also a pretty good card. I'm going to attack for 2 here, and we'll play our Spire Chaplain again. I can't quite play Enforcer into Chaplain the way that I would like to, but I can still attack for quite a bit of damage if I want to, so. Now we do have Witch. That's really worrying. That means that there might be a Black Sky Harbinger in this mess. We could attack and get our Justice Sigil. I don't know if that's particularly beneficial to me, but Yeah, I actually do like that, since this seems like a setup for a Black Sky Harbinger, and I would rather just have the, like, Steward block or the Withering Witch block so that there's less stuff on the board and he gains less life off Harbinger. And then we'll just play down, like, a Knight-Chancellor Siraf or a Crownwatch Paladin or both. I think I'm pretty down with both.
I bring you aid.
And we'll use the Valkyrie Enforcer to knock the Black Sky Harbinger out of the sky. Alright, Vodakhan has Varus Faces, so no Harbinger this time around. I've got 2 more power to get before I can essentially grab the Siraf activations, which are going to be pretty helpful. Copperhall Paladin should help out a little bit with that, but we are stalled out for the moment by that 3/5. I will have to silence it, and that's not too far off, but still something that we want to get done sooner rather than later. Okay. If I can find a Finest Hour, then everything looks very good in terms of attacking. At the moment, we're stuck behind this Steward, and that's not amazing. Okay, we'll play the Valkyrie Enforcer here, I think. Silence the 3/5. And I could attack with both units for a little bit of extra damage, but I don't think that's particularly helpful here. I've already seen a Withering Witch, so I'm probably comfy playing the Knight-Chancellor Siraf number 2.
I bring you aid.
That's actually pressuring pretty hard in terms of, like, making just aggressive stuff happen. I can now attack for 6 damage a turn just off of the double Sirafs and the Valkyrie Enforcer, so my opponent's going to have to pull some stuff out. There's my Finest Hour, that's pretty good, so I can just attack with everything now. And regardless of what he blocks with, I have Finest Hour. I might not Finest Hour here, but if it's against the Crownwatch Paladin, Finest Hour is definitely right. And I've got the Aegis here, so I'm totally comfortable with that. That just kills the Steward. There's 9 damage to the face. We should be able to push through for the rest pretty easy. Alright. Vodakhan may or may not have something left here, removal or some sort of card. Celestial Omen does not get an Azindal's Gift. Could get a Black Sky Harbinger, which is a fairly scary card. Harbinger knocks off a lot of health and gains him a lot of, like, bonus stuff, so that's probably the card he's playing. If he goes for Champion of Chaos, that's really, really bad for him. Okay, so everything takes a hit, but Peacekeeper's prod is going to be pretty close to lethal. That's 6, 9, 10, 11. Oh, yep, that's lethal. So we just Peacekeeper's prod the, I'm going to say, either the Overwhelm unit or the Crownwatch Paladin. Probably the Crownwatch Paladin, since it's the smallest unit. Stun that, swing in, that should be lethal. So Peacekeeper's prod, get you through that wall, get that last bit of damage in after building up the tempo board and building the advantage. That's really important. Like, tempo decks can build a lot of solid board control, and that's just really, really helpful for this situation. Alright, so we are up against Zagtor. I have Crownwatch Paladin, Valkyrie Enforcer, Vanquish. I'm not loving it. I think we'll probably redraw here. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Seat, Combrei Banner, Time Sigil. We have Valkyrie Enforcer here and Copperhall Paladin, so yeah, this looks okay. We're not playing anything until turn 3, which is a little bit worrisome, but the Valkyrie Enforcer should come down strong. The Gilded Glaive works really well on Copperhall Paladin, so if I play enough Valkyrie Enforcers first, then that looks pretty good.
Tell me, what do you see?
Fire Chaplain would be a good early play, but I kind of like the idea of silencing Kothan first and seeing if we can get some removal out of his hand. Like, Spire Chaplain's pretty likely to get permafrosted, so let's see if we can see a permafrost first. Okay. So we got that hit in. Guru Banner turns into Watcher of the Big Ones. I have seen a little bit of this deck around lately. It's kind of an interesting one. Let's go ahead and attack for 3. I'm gonna silence the Watcher as well. It's kind of like a Huru mid-range list, using Watcher's like overwhelming size to get a little bit of stuff across. Now that we have 2 flyers, we're much more comfortable up against it, and playing Spire Chaplain down will give me a good chance to get started.
Tell me, what do you see?
Okay, well that's a little bit unfortunate, but not too unfortunate. Spire Chaplain here, swing for 6. Kothan's going to activate, but I'll have Finest Hour and Gilded Glaive, so we should be able to push across without too much difficulty. Wisdom of the Elders. A lovely card. And are we going to see Kothan activate? Because if so, our attacks look okay. We'll get stuck on the Watcher if we need to. I think I actually will get stuck on the Watcher here. Finest Hour. Knock that thing out. Don't have to take any damage, and our attacks look a lot better as a result. You're going to play the power and activate Kothan?
Take wing, my friend.
There you go. Alright, so we'll Gilded Glaive the Spire Chaplain here, I think. Ooh, or we could just play Copperhall Paladin. I kind of like that route a little bit. Copperhall Paladin plus lifesteal is a big deal. But then I don't get to attack this turn? Yeah, okay, we'll be aggressive. Swing for 7. Get our power out, and then we can play Copperhall Paladin next turn. And this gets us more power out of our deck, which is important, so life looks a little bit better as a result. Primal Sigil there. Are we going to see another Permafrost? If we don't see a Permafrost, I'm not sure if there's any great answers here. Okay, a 5/5 with a Gilded Glaive on its own. Not that amazing, but should be fine. We will have 6th power here. So that's nice. Kothan is just a Kothan. We're not doing anything crazy there. We'll go ahead and play... just swing on in. Could go Gilded Glaive here and attack with 2 different units. That would allow me to get a pretty reasonable amount of damage across, but then I wouldn't be able to play Copperhall Paladin. And Copperhall Paladin allows me to ramp up to Siraf, which is also good here. Yeah, I'm going to attack for 5 for sure. Maybe some of the 3/3s as well. Like, however he lines up the blocks, he's probably going to have to lose something in the air. And the 3/3 or the 4/4 seems like the likely choices. Okay. So that's 1 less big owl in the air. That's good for me. Play Copperhall Paladin. And now, regardless of what he plays here, we should be able to attack with a Copperhall Paladin for a bunch. So that'll be a pretty big deal. I'm guessing he's going to activate Kothan again. I could block here. Or I could just swing on in. I think I'm okay with trading. We're going to keep the board nice and simple.
My friend.
Alright, Peacekeeper's Prod draws me a card and stuns the owl. That's pretty cool. Gilded Glaive gets me up to, what is it? 6, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't have an extra power, so it's going to be a 7, 8. Which he can kill a 7, 8. So we're going to Peacekeeper's Prod instead. Stun the owl. Swing with both of these guys, since that way I can get 6 damage in and also pressure the Kothan. Like if he decides to double block here to get rid of the extra stuff, that's going to help me out. So, yeah, we get 3 damage in and a free Kothan. That's exactly what we're looking for. Okay, so I've got a 6/6 and a 3/3. He's got a 2/3 and a 4/4 that's stunned for the moment. He's attacking because he's got the endurance. Pearlescent Drake is definitely a big guy. And having lifesteal is a lot scarier as well. But I think that at this point we're sitting on a 6/6 and a 3/3 ourselves, so we're pretty comfy just swinging in for a bunch, playing down Copperhall Paladin, Tinker Overseer. That thing has to attack every turn, so since we're also getting life gain back, this works out very well for us. So Copperhall Paladin, Tinker Overseer. We're going to wait on the Siraf for as long as possible because we want to see other removal used on it. And I'm fine with taking 8 here because I'm gaining a bunch of life. If there's a Permafrost, he'll put it on one of these guys, but if there isn't, then he won't. Gilded Glaive gets us that extra power. I've got a 6/6 and a 4/4. I can Gilded Glaive and Vanquish in the same turn, so... I kind of like Vanquish on the 4/4. The 6/7, though, is really the scary card, so I guess we'll do that. attack with everything because he needs to double block the 6/6 in order to get rid of it, and he probably wants to do that. Yep, cool. So we'll kill the 4/4 in the air. Get our big ol' pile of damage in, and we can wait for 11 to Siraf, but I think we're just so strong right now that we're fine just playing it down. Attack with everything again. The 2/2 losing is like not a big deal. If we get like Island's Choice, then it's kind of a bigger swing, but beyond that I think we're fine. Lightning Strike gets 3/3. He has to block. Okay, he decides to block the 2/2, even though that's putting him very, very low. I'll play a Siraf, and I'll end my turn. I could play both Sirafs, but there might be a harsh roll in this deck. Okay, attacking with both kills him, I think? So it's better than, I think, activating Siraf. Yeah, cool. Got out ahead of that deck just by trading with our excellent value and excellent, like, huge units. So, yeah, good stuff. I really do like that mid-range deck. I'm really interested in it. Haven't seen a lot of, like, mentoring on it, but it's kind of curious, and I'm looking forward to trying that list out a little bit more. Alright, let's do one more. I had, like, 5 games recorded, but... C'est la vie. Combrei banner, Justice Sigil. Let's see here. It seems fine. Double Crownwatch Paladin into double Vodakhan staff is very, very strong. I may not actually get to play anything for a while, but playing 2 Crownwatch Paladins gets me at least some early aggression. If my opponent's playing, like, Xenon into Temple Scribes, that's going to be a big problem, but basically... he has to have early blockers, and I have to not have the 3rd power for this to be really bad for me. So, Crownwatch Paladin on 2, and then Vodakhan Staff on 3, or the 2nd Crownwatch Paladin. Either way is pretty good. I'm guessing we'll see a Temple Scribe, so it'll be Vodakhan Staff on 3. Because I do want to attack with my Crownwatch Paladins. That's generally a good idea. This is probably the first showcase match for Vodakhan stuff. I'm not sure about the one game that we managed to save from our hard drive, so... but yeah, like, this is looking good. Friendly Wisp does block, of course, the Crownwatch Paladin if you want to block the Crownwatch Paladin. That's a Warcry down. How do I feel about it? I do like Warcries a lot. I think I'll go ahead and swing it for 5, though. Making a really big unit is something that Praxis is not very well equipped to deal with. And making a really big unit with Aegis means that, like, Praxis is just going to have a hard time with it. Because it'll play, like, Sandstorm Titan on 4, we'll be bigger than that. It'll play Obliterate, we're bigger than that. Like, every time that it tries to do something, we'll just Finest Hour over it. We're just going to attack in with this thing and continually make him forfeit value to a large unit. 8 damage there. Because that's one of Praxis's big weaknesses here. They don't have strong removal against single target units. They just have like their deadly stuff, and most people aren't playing Scorpion Wasp right now, so it's totally fine to just attack in for a bunch and murder as many things as possible. Attack for 8. Yep, get that 1/1 block, of course. But the Warcry as well means that I get to take an Overseer here.
Don't drop your tools.
Even if he has an Obliterate, I've got Finest Hour, so I'll be able to block that Crimson Fire Maw. There's going to be no discounts. There's going to be no raiding the board with all sorts of cool stuff. Yeah! Shatterglass Mage pops an Aegis, but isn't enough to actually destroy my overall game plan. So we can now Gilded Glaive the anything that we want. He's got 10, so if I Gilded Glaive here, then I get bigger than he does, which I think is probably my best option. And if I attack for 4 as well, am I comfortable with that, or do I want to hold the 4/4 back? That's an interesting question. I think aggression is generally rewarded here, especially since I can Finest Hour the 4/4, and he has to block at least 1 unit here, so... yeah, like he could get a pretty good discount on a Heart of the Vault or something, but... I think he's going to go for the block, and then we can just Finest Hour here. So that leaves me with 2 big units on the board. I've got Warcries on the stack. I've got 2 units left in hand. He can't Carnosaur his way out of this, so that should be game. Praxis can't deal with a big unit, really. And that's one of the strengths of this deck. This is sort of like a meta counter. Yeah, that was fun. Let's do one more. Alright, here we go. Dumpster Baby. Justice Time Justice. I've got This is, okay. I think I'm comfy with this. Like, it's not an amazing early hand, but it's enough consistent value, and Stand Together is a very powerful card here. And just being able to get the third power means a lot. This deck can go kind of mid-rangey because it is fairly tempo, so... Alright, I picked a slow hand against a fast aggro deck, which is not my favorite thing to do, but I did get Copperhall Paladin, and Copperhall Paladin is really the card I'm looking for here. Spire Chaplain would allow me to play against this whole setup, but I'm pretty sure that there will be a torch first thing, so we should probably try and save a power. Okay, Siraf versus Valkyrie Enforcer, that's a really interesting question. I think I'm down on Siraf here because Pummel or Torch doesn't actually solve the problem. So we get to just block the Oni Ronin with its war cry, and then, like, that'll kill it. There shouldn't be any way that he gets out of that. Torch. Torch into Torch is good. Okay, Torch into Rock Slide. I'll take that. That seems fine. That's a good bonus for me. Okay, so Valkyrie Enforcer silences the whole thing. And then we will be able to block, set up Spire Chaplain, set up Copperhall Paladin last because it's got the lifesteal. If we're feeling fairly pressured, we can play out Copperhall Paladin earlier, but I want that card to be just guaranteed to actually win, so... Could have Finest Hour there. Wouldn't have been a bad idea.
Draw, mister.
Okay. With all of this aggression, I think it's time to play down the Copperhall Paladin. He's only got one card left, so he cannot possibly have removal that will kill the Copperhall Paladin this turn. I've got the Finest Hour, so I dodge Mortar. And beyond that, like, he just can't do anything about it. So yeah, we'll go ahead and play down, let's say, Crownwatch Paladin. I could attack for 3, that would be fairly comfy, or I could stay put, which is also pretty good. Yeah, staying put allows me to stand together, get an Aegis on this thing, or I could just, you know, not do that. This is an interesting question. An Aegis on this thing is fairly important, but I don't think it's necessary right now. I think Gilded Glaive definitely does a good amount of stuff here, so let's go ahead and put that on. That plays the power, so now I've got a 7-8. I get to attack with that. We'll gain the life. And he can do his attacks back if he wants to. I've got Finest Hour. I've got plenty of options against this deck. And we'll be able to play Spire Chaplain into Stand Together. At that point, my board is completely out of control. There's nothing I can do about it. Block plus Finest Hour is not going to get me a lot here, so I probably won't go for that. We'll instead just play the Spire Chaplain. Attack for 5, because 5 is good. And is now the time to stand together? Yeah, he hasn't blocked. He could, like, double Torch in response? Seems unlikely. Stand together it is. Alright, got the Aegis. There's 6 health and a 4/4 blocker. So, at this point, Skycrag's out of luck. We got him hard locked down. Copperhall Paladin's a good card. I'm a big fan of it. Alright, Shogun Scepter. Go ahead and, we'll block the 4/4, I guess. Nah, we'll take it. You can get your war cries, that's all fine. We're just gonna go straight for the face at this point. Peacekeeper's Prod allows me to stun something, probably that 6/5, because that's kind of the scary card that he's got. Attack with everything, and we have the Finest Hour to keep ourselves out of trouble. One damage there. That's going to be a Finest Hour. Okay. And a double block there. Do we protect the Spire Chaplain? I think I like the Spire Chaplain over the Crownwatch Paladin here. So that'll leave him with a Vadius Clan Father, a 6/5 that's stunned, and Steelfang Chakram off the Clan Father if he draws a power. So he will actually get 2 big units. And wow, that is a huge Sensari Brigand to be sure, but I am not threatened. Yep, he actually has to stay back here because it's just so ridiculous. So we'll go ahead and attack for everything. And then I'll stand together and get the whole setup just a little bit better for me. 10 health. Sensari Brigand's no longer on the board. And a power gets me a 5/5. Vadius can hold the board for one more turn, especially with that Steel Fang Chakramon, but I think this game's over. Katana, that's not going to help. Snowcrest Yeti, oh, well now he actually has the ability to hold for a turn if he doesn't attack. I was going to say that he could actually block the 10/10, but looks like he's just going to chump it, so that should be easy game. Alright, cool. Yeah, no, so we faced off against the solid Skycrag list, a cool mid-range thing that I think is kind of going up Master right now. A lot of, like, interesting decks, and yeah, it's a good deck for solving all of these problems. I'm really quite happy with this one's position in the meta, so feel free to try it out. I think it's a really good competitive list. That's it from me. There's not going to be a conclusion video for this one because we've already done the actual like A list and B list. But this is a pretty strong deck. I encourage you guys to give it a try. And thank you so much for watching. Have a really good night. See you next time.